generations. And now, the power of two restores the one.
We got a bidet! Hey everybody, and welcome back for another video. In today's video, we're talking about the latest episode of Ahsoka. Definitely changing gears here as far as what's happening in the show, but we got some exciting stuff, that's for sure. A lot of not only the guy behind me, and that's been, in the media quite a bit, not only Thrawn, but we got a couple other of cool characters that we saw pop up here. So we're going to talk about the episode, give our thoughts, and then it's up to you to watch the show, of course. We don't actually get to see Ahsoka very much in this episode. I had half wondered if it was going to be kind of like a Book of Boba Fett Mando situation, but we at least got a little bit. And the little bit that we got, I thought was pretty cool. We all know from the previous episode that Ahsoka is trying to use the whales to get to Sabine, Ezra, Thrawn, and all of them. And so we get this small little discussion with Huyang, where he's going to tell her the stories about, different things of the past. And the little like tongue-in-cheek thing that he does before starting his story is saying, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Did you like that touch?
Oh yeah, that was nice.
Yeah, I thought it was a good little, I don't know, maybe you'd call it an Easter egg, but I thought it was really cool that, they're playing off of that little thing that George Lucas started the movies with.
Yeah. Did you think there was anything to the part where they're talking about the stories, History of the Galaxy parts 1, 2, and 3, and then Ahsoka says one is the best, of course. Do you think that was like a nod to any Star Wars media
I had
paths
wondered,
or
I had wondered if that was in relation to the first trilogy that was ever released, being the originals.
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That was my second thought after actually thinking about it, because when I heard parts 1, 2, and 3, I had thought the 3 trilogies, but I'm like, but the third one hasn't happened yet, so it can't be that.
Yeah, that's another thing. It's like, yeah, Ahsoka was like involved in part 1. Now we're like in part 2, kind of.
Yeah. And we also got a little bit of Ahsoka kind of, dishing out some thoughts, like reflections on what her interactions were with Sabine a little bit. Because, when she was out there and trying to figure out what happened, she, basically used the Force to hear what happened. And she
Yeah,
tells a little bit of that to Huyang.
psychometry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's pretty much all we get from Ahsoka in this episode. The rest of the way is seeing what's going on with characters that we didn't get to see in the previous episode. Being Balin, Morgan, Shin, and Sabine. They are heading towards their destination, and they do get there. I kind of wanted your opinion on this, Austin, because I don't think we've talked about it. So, they're heading to a new galaxy, and that sounds, to me, that when I first heard it, it sounded incredibly exciting. And then when it came on the screen, watching the episode, I had thought to myself, like, every other Disney project that they've done Star Wars with, they've basically created a new planet. So my excitement like dropped off immediately, because it kind of just felt like it's just another planet, as opposed to, oh my goodness, it's a different galaxy. Do you kind of have that feeling, or do you still have the surprise slash suspense of what there's to come?
Um, to me, I think so. Yeah, I think there's still more to come. I think there's more to Peridia than we've seen in this episode. Um, and that kind of goes back to like whatever's going on with Balin. I mean, we'll get to that later, but something on the planet is calling out to Balin. Um, so I think we might not go to any other planets in this galaxy, so it might not seem that special. But I think this one specifically might be a special planet. And it's also like this entry point to this galaxy. Um, and then I love the visuals of it. And I mentioned it's like a graveyard for the whales. And there's just these like bones of all the deceased whales that form this ring around the planet. It's just a
Yeah,
cool visual.
I thought that was a really cool touch where, because like from the outside looking in, it just kind of looked like an asteroid belt, but once you get
Yeah,
was the graveyard that they mentioned.
it's good in time for spooky season.
Yeah, that's right. But moving on to getting to the planet, like you were mentioning, and spooky season. So they arrive, they being, Sabine, Balin, Shin, and Morgan. They all basically go to this, it looked like a really tall pillar or tower looking thing, because it was an actual building. They had stairs to go down inside of it. And on the top of this platform was three Night Sisters. And I thought these characters looked really cool. Um,
Yeah.
I was slightly worried about how they were going to make Night Sisters look, knowing that Morgan is a Night Sister. But there must be something different about her because she doesn't look anything like them.
Yeah, she's like a distant descendant or something like that. I don't know how it works, but she definitely doesn't have the skin, the gray, pale skin that those three witches have. And maybe those are like the head witches or something, so maybe they're different. Who knows?
Could be. I didn't. I don't. I don't remember, and I didn't pick up on it. Um, do you think that these are some of the witches, the ones that were from the Clone Wars? Do you remember? Did they die in that show?
I don't remember off the top of my head. I feel like something happened with their group. I think they like made enemies with like Dooku or something like that.
They definitely did because um, Dooku like basically ordered the purge of the Night Sisters in Dathomir.
Okay. Okay, yep. So that's what I'm remembering. There was like a purge. So I think some of them survived. So these could be them, or maybe these witches have been in this galaxy for some time.
Yeah, we don't really know a whole lot. We just know that they're there, right?
Yeah. For all we know, they rode whales to get there.
Yeah, could have been, or witchcraft, because we're
Yeah.
getting some of that stuff here in the episode. So they meet up with the witches. The witches pick up that there is a Jedi presence in the group, which is Sabine is who they're looking at. Um,
PU. These Jedi, they don't wear deodorant.
yeah, Jedi are smelly. Um, so they imprison Sabine, like send her
That
down
was that was cool.
the.
The little laser orbs
Oh yeah,
that like tie her up.
the like triangle instead of just handcuffs. Like she had these three things that went around her and then put beams so that she couldn't get out of it. Yeah,
Yeah, it was like a little energy twine that just kind of binded her up really quick.
it makes me wonder what would happen if she touched it. Like, is it just a shock or is it something deadly? Because it kind of reminded me of the things from the Phantom Menace when they were fighting the three of them, and the like red wall prevented Obi-Wan from keep going.
Sure, like a ray shield or something kind of thing.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was something like that or something a little less deadly. But yeah, that was very cool. They sent her down, and trying to, trying to remember what they something. Oh, she like tried to reach out with the force or something, and she thought she was doing something, but she really wasn't. What was happening was we have a massive ship that was coming up on the horizon, and the ship should look somewhat familiar. I remembered it like that's the Star Destroyer, of course. And on the bottom part of the Star Destroyer is a special like insignia or painting that signifies that it was Thrawn's Star Destroyer. Uh,
Oh yeah.
yeah, and so it goes to the pillar and the little opening that's on the bottom of Star Destroyers where the ships, the TIE fighters can come out from the hangar. Basically, that part of the Star Destroyer lands so that the top of the pillar where the witches and Balin are, they can easily, you know, transfer to the Star Destroyer.
I must say those ships have amazing, like, you know, some propulsion to just be able to sit there and have that dock not move one bit. Like whoever's up on the bridge of that ship, they need a raise.
Yeah, they're good at driving.
Yeah, they docked that perfectly.
I thought the shot of the Star Destroyer, coming into the pillar, I thought that was a really cool shot.
Yeah, really awesome. And the Star Destroyer is all it's seen better days. It's been
Yeah.
through some repairs too. It's got a little gold plating, like a gold grill all over this ship.
Well, speaking of the gold grills, we see so when the Star Destroyer, comes and makes it so that they can walk onto it, we see Thrawn. He comes up
Yeah.
and there's one other dude that seemed really interesting. I don't know a whole lot about him, but speaking of the gold, there's a stormtrooper that has like this weird gold face thing going on.
Yeah, it's not just him. A lot of them have like little cracks in their armor that have like gold in the armor. These guys are they've seen better days. All these troops, yeah. Thrawn just has this massive group of troopers.
Yeah, when I saw them, I don't know how much you know about the books from before Disney took over, but there was a book that came out. I forget what it was called, but the cover of it was like a stormtrooper helmet with a hook through the eye socket. And basically, it was a book about stormtroopers that were essentially zombies. And it had made me wonder if this is some sort of nod to that book. Like, what if when they arrived at this place, a whole bunch of stormtroopers died, or maybe they starved to death and they had to use the magic to basically create the army. But not 100% sure what's going on with them yet. But that was my first impression when I saw it.
Yeah, yeah, it's been like 9 years. My first impression, I didn't really pick up on too much. It was more so on like the second watch through that I picked up a little bit more details. Um, but the first thing I noticed is just that they look rough. But yeah, when you look closer, there's a lot of things to notice, like the gold. The cracks have like the gold plating in them, and also a lot of those guys are all bandaged up. There's red bandaging, kind of holding them together. So I really like that idea that they might be doing kind of like a zombie trooper kind of thing. It might be like an undead army.
Yeah, could be. And who knows? I'm sure we'll find out at some point here. But if it does end up being like a zombie type stormtrooper, that is kind of cool that, not only are they bringing Thrawn from the old books, but they may even be entertaining some of the other stuff from Legends. So Uh, we'll have to see if they expand on that in the future episodes.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the first time they've grabbed something and used it recently. So, um,
Yeah, well, when times are tough, grab the stuff that worked before, right?
yep, yep, they know the recipe.
Yeah. So, a couple of things happen here. This is kind of where our storyline split a little bit. So, Balin promised Sabine that, he would help her get to the location where Ezra is. Not necessarily delivering her to him, but, getting her to this planet where he's supposed to be. And so he does come through with his promise of, not harming her and stuff. And she is sent off. Um, so there's like, I don't know what the creature was called, but it was pretty cool looking. Looked kind of like a wolf in a way, but also maybe like a horror movie type creature.
Yeah, like an anteater wolf.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it.
Just had
Uh,
a really long snout and a big old nose.
yeah, so she is taking this creature and is trying to ride out and search out for Ezra. Meanwhile, Thrawn and all of them, they have their own agenda going on. What I thought was interesting was Thrawn had said something like, she's gonna go find Ezra, and then you, Balin, and Shin, you're gonna go after them and take care of things. It reminded me of the Lion King when they like sent Simba was in the elephant graveyard and Scar said he could go, and then as soon as he takes off from the screen, he says to the hyenas, "Kill him," and then they chase after him.
Yep.
Uh, I was getting that vibe with this.
Yeah, and I'm wondering like how people are feeling about Thrawn that haven't seen Rebels because like right away I knew like he was up to no good. I mean, we know he's the villain, right? They've been waiting this long to bring him into the show, but um, I knew he wasn't just gonna like let Sabine like this guy's got an ulterior motive always, not just doing it for no reason. So I figured there had to be something about it, and sure enough, immediately he's like, "Yep, follow him."
Yeah, and
So,
they have a history together, right?
um, yeah, Sabine, yeah, so yeah, I mean they've seen each other in Rebels, and so she knows exactly how dangerous he is, but she's not gonna, Sabine takes her opportunity to see Ezra, so
So here's the question. Ooh, excuse me. Here's the question for you.
yeah.
What did you think of Thrawn's appearance? We know that the actor from Rebels that was the voice actor is this guy.
Yeah,
Um, Voice is nailed. But what did you think about his overall appearance?
I think he looks good. I think he looks like menacing, like he's mean serious business. Um, maybe not as a physical threat, which I know in other, you know, versions of the character, he's been, very combative, and maybe we'll see that from him. I mean, Balin certainly doesn't look like he puts up a big fight, but he took out Ahsoka, right? Um, even if she was not at her absolute peak best. But that's not important. But yeah, no, I think Thrawn looks mostly pretty good. I think he looks like a menacing officer. I think the eyes look scary. Uh, yeah, voice is good. Obviously, it's the same guy. Um, and he carries himself well. I'm liking what we got so far. I'm excited to see where he starts to like not come out of his shell, but the audience is going to see the real Thrawn more and more.
Yeah, I thought his most scary feature was his eyes for sure. Like, I couldn't really tell if these are like contacts or if it's some sort of CGI going on, but there's some things he's doing with his eyes that are like, oh, I don't want to mess with that guy. Um, I do like that they got the like V thing in his forehead going correctly. You can see here behind me that that's part of his character. Um, But yeah, I do remember from like books and comics from the little that I've read that he's supposed to be like a lean, mean fighting machine, and not only scary from a commanding point of view, but also a soldier. So I am curious to see how that ends up playing out. Um, but yeah, so uh, he sends Balin and Shin off to go track down Sabine. Um,
Yeah.
I feel
And
like
then they warn her that it's going to be dangerous out there, that there's nomads. Yeah. Almost immediately, Sabine gets ambushed by, you can call them nomads, you can call them whatever you want, but they had weapons. I think they were shooting. Yeah, they were shooting at her for sure. And she's got her Mandalorian armor, so she was fine, of course. Um, but it actually took her to bring out the lightsaber to actually kind of dispatch these guys.
yeah. I was kind of thinking about it a little bit. Like, I totally get that she has like the Mandalorian armor and she can deflect bolts, but part of me almost wonders if that hints more that, she's force sensitive because she's deflecting so many like right at one after another. Like, I feel like you'd have to be extremely skilled to be able to, pick apart blaster bolts that are coming from all different directions and, uh, taking care of them the way that she did.
Yeah. And I mean, she doesn't always like block them per se, where sometimes they just kind of like hit her in the armor. But yeah, I know what you're saying. And maybe, but maybe we'll see her get a shield. We've seen Bo-Katan with the shield. That could be cool. Shield and sword, you know?
Yeah, I just hope it's bigger than those tiny ones.
Yeah. No, it'll be the same.
So yeah, she survives that little skirmish, and then she comes across a creature from this planet. Looks like a rock. It's kind of like a turtle, where the turtle, if it gets scared, it'll like shrink into its shell and try to avoid danger. So these creatures, they curl up in their little shell and they look like rocks.
Yeah, they're like little beetles.
Yeah, essentially. And once the creature knows that Sabine is friendly because it notices that Sabine has the rebellion sign on her shoulder, um, it turns out that the creature has like a little necklace or something that has the emblem as well. Was it a necklace?
Yeah, it was a little necklace medallion. Um, and these guys are, there's a bunch of them. They're all very well dressed.
Yeah.
They all have little outfits on. And then they have rock backpack shells.
Yeah, they're pretty neat. I was telling Sarah that they reminded me a lot of if you play Jedi Survivor, there are these little dudes that you can get collectibles from, and you have to kill them to get the collectibles, unfortunately.
Yeah.
When you run after them, they will run away from you, and if you don't get to them in time, they like burrow into the ground. So it kind of reminded me of that a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, those guys were, I don't know. They're neat little life forms that she happened to bump into.
Yeah, I can't wait to see them, for sale at Disney.
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh,
Yeah, her mom actually found them, sniffed them out with his old sniffer.
yeah. Um, so this one little creature takes her to where it lives, and there's a whole bunch of these dudes, but there's also the main attraction that we've been looking for, or Sabina specifically been looking for, and we get to see live action Ezra for the first time. And well, kind of. I mean, he was a hologram, but this is him being.
Yeah, this is him in current day, 9 years on from really the last time we saw him. So, yeah, he's Ezra. He's Jedi Jesus. I've seen some people saying online.
I
He's
haven't
got
heard, but
crystal blue eyes. So, yeah, I think there's some eye stuff going on in editing room and post with the Thrawn with the red eyes and Ezra with the bright blue. So yeah. Um, did you have any? I mean, he doesn't look too exciting. He kind of he kind of has armor on, like chainmail almost underneath his like shoal. But yeah, what did you think of his appearance? He looks kind of like a homeless guy a little bit.
Yeah, I would say like for all the new characters that we got in this episode, I would say his was probably the most anticlimactic. I didn't so like seeing him, I didn't think that he looked much like Ezra, but when they put him side by side, I can see it a little bit. Um, maybe he will clean up a little bit or something and it'll look a little better, but yeah, like you said, he kind of looks homeless or like a Jedi Jesus.
Yeah, yeah, I think he'll clean it up a little bit next episode, maybe,
Yeah.
or maybe for the finale. He's got to, you know. Well, that's the other thing is we don't know what he's been up to this whole time. I mean, Sabine had his lightsaber, so we know he hasn't been practicing with that. Um, so most likely he hasn't been training with a lightsaber unless this other galaxy also has lightsabers, which is, you know, very possible. But
One thing that I did not remember from the Clone Wars, but I saw it on social media, was that I guess there was a time in the Clone Wars where Mace Windu was facing off with the Night Sister, and the Night Sister had like a lightsaber type thing that was made from the witchcraft magic. So maybe that could be a thing that's going on over there too.
yeah,
Do you think she'll give him back the lightsaber?
back to the lightsaber.
Because she has his lightsaber.
Um, that's a good question.
He modified it a little bit, I guess we'd say, but
Right. I'm kind of on the fence about that. I feel like Hu Yang kind of made a point about it being her lightsaber now, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a fight where there's a passing around of the lightsaber, because Sabine has guns and stuff, and she's a little bit more trained in hand-to-hand combat. And Ezra obviously has the Force, so he's not going to be a slouch by any means. But um, yeah, I think there's going to be some kind of passing between. I was going to say kind of like Rey and Kylo. I don't know if they would do like the Force pass, but I think it might be kind of like a throne kind of thing.
well, yeah, I mean, they did that in The Last Jedi with the Praetorian guards in the throne room. Like she like
Yeah,
saber to him.
yeah. So who knows? What do you think?
I'm curious to see what happens. Part of me, he has to have something that he uses, to defend himself on the planet, whether it's a lightsaber or something else.
Yeah,
Um,
just like the fact that he's wearing like armor kind of tells me that there's more to this guy going on here.
yeah, and he had a very unique lightsaber before the one that Sabine took, where it was like a blaster and a lightsaber in one. So we know he's smart with making things. So maybe he has something cool cooked up in his little hut there on the planet.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, there's a touching little reunion. I can't say I was all up in my feelings for them, but I'm happy for Sabine. This is what she's been after this whole time. This is what she risked Thrawn coming back for. So um, now it's time for our heroes to see if they can save the day. We still don't know what the grand plan is here. Um, oh, did we really mention they were like unloading from the temple that they stopped at? All those guards are like loading something on the Thrawn ship.
We did not. There's that, and there's one other thing I think that's pretty big from the episode. So yeah, um, you said they were unloading from the ship onto the pillar.
I think the other way around. I think they're loading things from the temple because they say down in the catacombs. I don't know what else you would keep in catacombs besides maybe treasures and dead people.
Right.
So this kind of goes back to what we were thinking about the dead troopers. Maybe they're doing more of this funny business.
Maybe there's an ancient Sith or something that's down there.
Yeah.
Because that
But
leads to the other big thing that they said. And Thrawn mentioned to the witches that he needs their help again.
yeah, we get that right at the end, or towards the end. He says, "I once again am going to need your support," just like Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
Um, so that makes us wonder how many times before has he gotten magic help from them?
How many deaths does he have?
Yeah, yeah. Um, boy. And then, is there anything else big that happens? I'm trying to think.
Oh,
Oh, we get a little Balin backstory, right? When him and Shin are on their way, kind of looking for Sabine. They come across the fight or the dead barbarians that attacked her. We get a little Balin backstory.
I personally don't remember. Do you remember what it was?
Basically, they were talking about Ezra, and Balin was saying how he was not trained at the temple, and how that was similar to Shin, and that he trained her to be something more than a Jedi. Is basically what he said. So we still don't really know their relationship. If they are, for all we know, is they're like family. But um, yeah, who knows? They're after something else out here. Um, they're still kind of doing what they're told by Thrawn, so we think. But it does seem like they're kind of up to something. At least Balin. He's after something on the planet.
Yeah, there's something, like you said, I think in the beginning, there's something different about this planet. And us as the viewers don't really know. But I'm sure probably in the next episode, we'll know what's going on because they'll probably set up whatever the big finale is supposed to be. I'm definitely looking forward to it. I really wish the show wasn't coming to an end in 2 weeks.
I know we got two more episodes. Uh,
But hey, it has been all fire basically, right?
yeah,
There's been no crappy parts in my opinion, and it's all been good substance. So
yeah. And yeah, the only thing at the end of the episode, I was a little bit sad that we didn't get another scene with Ahsoka. But at the same time, just like with the way they set up the travel, I think it makes sense to do it this way because um, the big old space donut left at the end of the one episode, and then we went the whole other episode without knowing what happens to them. And then at the end of the next one is when Ahsoka takes her journey in the whale mouth. And so, that was a whole episode apart that they left their destination. So if they arrive at the same time or around the same time, you know, they're kind of light speed travel is a little wishy washy. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, with the time,
Yeah.
yeah,
So, and they could easily say, one of them is like a space donut and one of them is the whales traveling. So they're different speeds, right? But I don't
yeah.
know. I wasn't too upset about it at the end of the day.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like I remember this when they were wrapping up the episode, like right before Thrawn asked the witches about needing help. They say something about like the whales will be arriving soon, and they need
Oh, yeah, they know. They know that she's on the way. Um, they can feel the presence in the force or something. Something's tipped them off. But so Thrawn tells Morgan, I want to know everything there is to know about her, which is very on brand for him. This is who the guy is. He's a tactician. He's gonna learn everything about his enemy.
right. Yeah, I'm very excited to see what he ends up doing because I feel like this episode established his presence as far as being menacing a bit. And I think the next episode, or at least the finale, they're going to establish why they should be afraid of him. It'll be good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I think yeah, this wasn't like the most action-packed, like thrilling episode, but I think yeah, with only two left, like it's just gonna be all green light, pedal to the metal from here on out, I think, pretty much.
Yeah, I saw this episode. It's interesting because we had like this big 5 episode arc essentially with the first five, and we had to get to the other galaxy, we had to get to Thrawn, and so I kind of anticipated this one being a setup episode for what's yet to come. But the good thing was is that it wasn't like a filler episode, and then the last two were uh, something to finish it off, because I know we've had that in the past too with different Star Wars shows. It's good that they kept the focus going.
Yeah, this was all stuff we like directly wanted to know about, so they didn't overload us. They didn't answer all of our questions. We're still wondering, you know, you were kind of asking me what I think about Thrawn. I think he's like intimidating, but I'm way more scared of his friends. Like, why are these witches doing everything he wants? What's their motive?
Well, when I saw them, I was like, what I don't want to happen is I don't want them to resurrect Maul again. Because they come out that George Lucas, his 789 was going to involve Maul and Maul being an apprentice, and then Luke and Leia and all them had to combat that. I kind of don't want that to happen, just because we've already done the resurrecting Maul thing. But
Yeah, I think they kind of took that storyline and ran with it in Clone Wars, right? When they
right,
had Savage. Um, but yeah, that stuff's actually very similar to what's going on here with the Night Sister magic. So maybe they resurrect somebody else or create some other dark presence.
some of the theories that I've read online are that maybe this is part of the way that they connect to the sequel trilogy with the Emperor. Like maybe they're going to do something to help his resurrection. But part, like you said, they're bringing things from the catacombs. My hope is that it's some crazy Sith being that was down there, and then they're going to resurrect that
Yeah,
character.
some new threat that they have to deal with by the end of episode 8.
I don't know if they'll do that. Like, I could see it being a cliffhanger.
Oh, you want something going into the next? But the thing is, we have no idea what's coming next. So this would be like a long-standing cliffhanger, like with all the strikes and everything going on right now. I mean,
Yeah.
hopefully they're resolved soon, but it's going to be a little bit of a drought. Like, I don't know if it'll be as bad as the COVID drought of like lack of content for a long time, but um,
Well, we know that um, Andor was affected by it because it was supposed to be, I think, coming out next, something like that. And because of the writer strike, that one's going to be getting delayed.
just kind of postponed for now. That one's probably honestly, it sucks to say, but that one's probably honestly pushed into 2025. Like, if it was already going to be summer, if it was a short delay, that put them like fall, end of the year, like holiday 24.
Well, we still got 2 shows coming out, I think, before then. We got Skeleton Crew and The Acolyte. I don't know if they're going to be as fire as this one, but
Yeah, so they do have some stuff for next year coming out. That'll be nice.
just enough to delay so they can get the other one finished.
A little bit, little something to hold us over.
Yeah. I think the last thing that I was gonna get your opinion on, do you kind of think so? The previous episode, we had Anakin and Ahsoka, and I think the emotions were running high with that reunion. Do you think maybe that benchmark of that episode was so emotional that maybe when Sabine and Ezra met, it was just kind of like, eh?
Um, yeah, I mean, it's just not going to hit the same way, right? Like, you can put all the emotional music behind it you want, but at the end of the day, if we don't feel for those characters in that moment, we're not going to be invested in that moment. And we've kind of seen Sabine go through a lot. Um, she's kind of like in a low place, so it is nice to see her get this like little win, even if it does cost so much. Um, but yeah, I don't think the show's made us like absolutely fall in love with Sabine yet. I guess this is what I'll say.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Just her character's kind of been a little all over the place in a way, especially in relation to um, Rebels.
Yeah, but I do like the few lines that Ezra does have this episode. I do think like the actor's doing a really good job portraying him. I think he's kind of got the
Charisma.
yeah, that's a good word. Yes.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what we get next. We didn't get to see much of him, so maybe the more that we see him being Ezra, that maybe that will make us
Yeah.
feel better about his appearance.
Yeah, this is the guy that would like talk his way out of anything.
I like to think of him as the Aladdin of Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And he was always doing the thing they do in every Star Wars where they get the clone trooper outfits and then they sneak around, and that was in Rebels quite a bit. So
Yeah,
I don't know if we'll see that here because I don't know if these guys are alive, and I don't know if he would want to wear that armor, but
might be smelly.
yeah,
Well,
might
was
be good cover though.
was there anything else you want to talk about for the episode?
Just one little thing. Visually, the little shuttle that they have that detaches off of their space donut and flies out, and I don't know, it just looks really cool. It's all like a little gold triangle, like trapezoid. It's just a little cool looking shuttle.
I will say all the gold is reminding me a lot of um the I think it's the High Republic is the old one that Star Wars or Disney just made because in Jedi Survivor a lot of their stuff was influenced by the High Republic and there was a lot of gold going on. So I almost wonder if there's something going on there too where they're trying to make connections.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm hoping we find out where that comes from.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was our discussion on the latest episode of Ahsoka. We got two left, and like Austin said before, I think there's going to be quite a bit in these last two episodes. So, to make sure that you are able to see our discussions in the future, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. That way, you are notified when it drops. Drop us a like if you like the video, and drop us a comment letting us know your thoughts on this week's episode. And then, as always, everybody, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
See ya.